got so much fucking design on right now.
The promise they couldn't keep, Lee Jun-Ho and Yoona's real-life story of what could have been. What if I told you? That behind every perfect smile, behind every on-screen spark that fans worshipped, there was a promise, whispered in quiet moments, that was never meant to break? What if I told you that Lee Jun-Ho and Yoona, the beloved duo who made millions believe in love again, once vowed to hold on to something real, but life, fame, and time had other plans? This isn't just a love story. It's a story of what could have been. And the promise they couldn't keep. Hold on tight, K-drama family. The world of your favorite celebrities is unfolding before your eyes, and every moment is more breathtaking than the last. So make sure you hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications right now, because trust me, you do not want to miss what's coming next. The beginning, when fiction became too real, it started on the set of King the Land. Two stars at the height of their power, their chemistry undeniable. Every smile, every glance, every touch seemed to carry a truth their scripts couldn't hide. Behind the scenes, staff whispered that they barely needed direction. They finished each other's sentences. They laughed at inside jokes no one else understood. Between takes, Yoona would playfully nudge him, and Jun-Ho, the man who rarely let his guard down, would simply melt. One production assistant would later say, it wasn't acting. It was something deeper, the kind of connection you can't fake. And soon, fans saw it too. The hashtags began. The theory spread. Every frame of their drama was dissected, every behind-the-scenes clip slowed down to catch even a single glance. It was electric, but also fragile. Because what fans didn't know was that when the camera stopped rolling, real feelings started to take shape. The promise, a moment away from the spotlight, had happened one quiet evening after filming. They had just wrapped a late scene under the soft glow of hotel lights. The crew had gone home. Only the two of them remained, exhausted, yet unwilling to say goodbye. They stood by a window overlooking Seoul. The city shimmered below them, endless and alive. And it was there, between the hum of streetlights and the quiet of their breath, that Jun-Ho made a promise. No matter what happens after this, he said, I'll never forget what we had here, this connection. Yoona smiled, that small, knowing smile she always wore when her heart spoke louder than words. Then let's not let the world take it away, she whispered. It wasn't dramatic. It wasn't cinematic. It was simple, real, heartbreakingly honest. They promised to stay in each other's lives. To protect the bond they had built, even when the fame, the schedules, and the expectations tried to pull them apart. But some promises are too heavy for reality to carry. The distance, when fame becomes a wall. After King the Land wrapped, everything changed. Their careers exploded. Jun-Ho was pulled into world tours, global endorsements, and new acting projects. Yoona dove into films, photo shoots, and endless brand commitments. They were everywhere, except together. For a while, they kept in touch quietly. Late-night calls. Hidden messages. Unsent photos that lingered in drafts. But with every passing month, the silence between them grew longer. And in that silence, something precious began to fade. Jun-Ho once said in an interview, it's strange, when someone becomes part of your world so deeply, and then one day, they're just not there anymore. Fans didn't realize what those words meant. But Yoona did. Because by then, she had stopped replying. Not out of anger, but out of heartbreak. The unspoken goodbye months later, during an award show, fate brought them face to face again. Yoona in a silver gown, Jun-Ho in a sharp black suit. They smiled for the cameras, bowed politely, and stood just far enough apart to look like strangers. But their eyes told a different story. When the lights dimmed, Yoona turned away, blinking back tears. And Jun-Ho, he just stood there, hands clenched, as if trying to hold on to something invisible, something already gone. That night, fans posted thousands of clips. Look at the tension, they said. Why does it feel so cold between them? Because it wasn't anger. It was loss. The quiet, painful kind, the kind that comes when you both still care, but can no longer go back. The silence, what fans never saw for nearly a year, there was nothing. No interactions, no mentions, no collaborations. But insiders whispered that Jun-Ho kept a photo of her, a behind-the-scenes snapshot from King the Land, her laughter frozen in time. And Yoona, during one magazine shoot, was asked about her favorite memory from filming. She paused for a long time before answering, "Some things are too beautiful to repeat." It was subtle. But those who knew, knew. They had promised to stay connected. But sometimes, love asks for distance, especially when the world refuses to let it breathe. The present, 2 stars, one past today, Lee Jun-Ho and Yoona stand as 2 of the most respected artists in Korea. Strong. Successful. Independent. And yet, every time their paths cross, in awards, in projects, in interviews, there's a moment. A flicker. A hesitation. Because some stories never really end. They just live quietly, beneath the surface, in the spaces between words, in the memories of a promise they once made, and couldn't keep. The night of the reunion, it was the Asia Star Awards 2025. A night drenched in elegance and expectation. Every star in the industry was there, but the whispers before the ceremony began were about just one thing. Jun-Ho and Yoona are both attending tonight. It had been over 2 years since they were last seen in the same room. 2 years since the quiet disappearance of their friendship, the unanswered questions, the subtle tension, the heartbreak hidden in professionalism. Yoona arrived first. Radiant in a flowing white gown that seemed to glow under the stage lights. Poised, graceful, every camera turned to her. But behind that practiced smile, her eyes carried a certain stillness. Like a calm sea concealing storms beneath. Then came Jun-Ho. Tall, sharp, every inch the superstar. But those who knew him, those who had watched him long enough, noticed it. That flicker of unease. That subtle inhale before he stepped onto the red carpet. Because he knew, she was there. The moment they locked eyes, the show began. The camera swept across the audience, catching faces, reactions, smiles. And then, when Yoona was called to present an award, the crowd cheered. But the lens caught something else. Jun-Ho, looking up from his seat. Just a second. Just one glance. But in that glance was a story, 1,000 memories. Yoona's voice trembled for half a sentence. It wasn't obvious, not to the world. But to those who remembered, to those who had watched their journey, it was enough. Because that wasn't just stage presence. That was recognition. That was the sound of 2 hearts remembering. Backstage, the conversation no one expected after the show, the chaos of the backstage area was its usual blur of stylists, reporters, and managers. But somewhere in the corner, hidden behind the rush, they met again. It wasn't planned. It wasn't public. Just fate. Jun-Ho, she said softly, almost like she wasn't sure the word would still feel right on her tongue. He turned, slowly, carefully, and for a moment, time folded in on itself. The lights, the noise, the world outside, disappeared. There she was. The same Yoona, but different. Stronger. Quieter. More distant, yet heartbreakingly familiar. "I didn't think you'd come," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. She smiled, the kind of smile that hides more than it reveals. "It's been a while," she said simply. Silence stretched between them, the kind that only 2 people who used to mean everything to each other can understand. And then, Jun-Ho spoke again. "I saw the series you did last year," he said. "You were incredible." Her eyes softened. "Thank you," she replied. "I watched your concert clips. You looked happy." He hesitated. Happy isn't the word I'd use. The air grew heavy. Because that was the truth. And they both knew it. The legacy of their love today, fans still talk about that night, the night when 2 of Korea's brightest stars crossed paths once more, not as lovers, not as co-stars, but as memories. Because sometimes love doesn't fade. It just learns how to exist quietly. In the spaces between words. In the smiles that linger a moment too long. In the eyes that still recognize, even when the world insists on forgetting. Lee Jun-Ho and Yoona's story isn't a tragedy. It's a testament to love that once was, to promises that time couldn't keep, and to the kind of connection that never truly dies.